To most Australians, foxes are that sly red bastard that ate your granddad's chooks. But to some people, they are just another pet and on par with cats and dogs.
They're just the most happy, joyous, cheeky creatures.
But government agencies and environmentalists are unmoved in their stance that foxes are more foe than friend.
Obviously, a fox is a predator, not a pet.
In 2014, the New South Wales government declared war on foxes via a pest control order. The aim was to eradicate foxes, save wildlife and phase out pet fox ownership. Currently, there are 70 licensed fox owners in New South Wales, but when those foxes die, no new licences will be handed out, effectively putting an end to pet foxes in Australia.
We try to not let them lick faces. We try to be like, no face licking, but it's a bit tempting sometimes to let them lick you.
Sometimes a bit gross because they are like dogs and they lick gross things.
This is Immy and Sammy sniffing my shoe. Little troublemakers, just 2 of the 12 foxes that we have here. Sydney Fox Rescue was founded by myself in 2012. We're a rescue program, a sanctuary, a shelter, and also do a lot of advocacy work, advocating on behalf of, I guess, what a lot of people would consider pest species.
What's this monkey?
Had these foxes not come into our care, they might have been euthanized. Alternatively, they might have gone to live in the wild. If we can take them out of the wild and keep them in captivity, it's a sort of win-win situation for foxes and for natives.
But the New South Wales Local Land Services needs a little more convincing as to the benefits of fox ownership.
G'day Marco, how are you?
Oh good, thanks for coming out.
Foxes are predatory animals. It is cruel to have a fox in a cage locked up 24/7 because naturally they do not behave like that. My name's Lee Parker, I'm a Senior Biosecurity Officer. I assist landholders in fox control and other invasive species control methods. Foxes are highly destructive. I get numerous phone calls every single day in regards to fox attacks on livestock.
In Australia, it's estimated that foxes cause around $230 million worth of damage each year, and around $40 million of that damage is inflicted on livestock.
We'd just go 6 months without having any lambs born. You'd see them as day olds, the next day they'd be gone. Some days you'd see just a placenta in the paddock and you wouldn't be able to find a lamb anywhere, and without that you wouldn't know the lamb had been born.
And whilst it's easy to measure the effect of foxes on agriculture, it's often our native flora and fauna that suffers silently.
Obviously we've got a lot of ground-dwelling birds that have been heavily affected by foxes. We've got the brush-tailed rock wallaby, that's a threatened species from foxes.
At the end of the day, what's the most harmful to the environment in Australia is the agricultural industry. It's also the agricultural industry that wants to kill foxes the most. It's time that we took some responsibility for this animal that we brought here. And they do have complex and often negative interactions with the Australian environment. Nobody's trying to argue against that. The pest control order for us as fox owners is incredibly restrictive. It means that we can no longer take foxes off our property. Even the act of taking a fox to the vets can be an $8,000 fine. Keeping a fox without a permit, $8,000 fine. So just these small acts of compassion and attempts to rescue and help animals have now been criminalised. You want a bit of nectarine? Hey little monkey, here you go, here it is. It's good for their teeth, as much raw as we can feed them.
Would they eat that in the wild?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Look, they eat a very varied diet, everything from insects, rodents, rabbits, and obviously your fresh fruit and veg. Lots of carrion, they're big scavengers.
It's this natural scavenging instinct that makes foxes the perfect pest and enemy number one.
Foxes are opportunistic feeders. If there are no animals around, they will eat berries and weeds such as blackberry, African olive seeds, spreading these weeds into clean bushland by digesting them and passing them through their system. So obviously just not animal attacks and native fauna attacks, it's also protecting our bushland.
Awesome, yeah. He gets a big mouthful in that one, doesn't he? So before we got here 5 years ago, there was no fox control at all. Since coming in and doing the baiting over the last year and a half, we've been seeing a lot more echidna, lace monitors. We even had a set of swans.
Where blokes like Lee eradicate wild foxes, Charlie argues that his pet foxes aren't the culprits and therefore shouldn't be punished.
Mummy, I know you don't like the photographer. I don't think that rescuing foxes in any way contributes to the destruction of native animals and flora and fauna. Anything we do in terms of rescuing foxes is only going to decrease wild fox numbers, and in that way it's really positive.
Is this the only place where they go, or?
No, look, they can come out for walks, they can come inside and things like that. Under the new legislation, they do have to spend more time in their enclosures. I used to take Winnie to the beach, I used to take him out to the dog park, and I think that living in an enclosure is the least bad option for these guys right now. I do think that the local land services wants to silence us. What they're really worried about at the end of the day, though, is that people will see these animals and see how beautiful and friendly and affectionate they are. It's not good enough to say that all of these animals should be killed just by virtue of being alive. They're here now, they're not going away, and we need to find compassionate and humane ways to live with them.
Where fox owners like Charlie are responsible, it's the devastating effects caused by irresponsible fox owners that worry land services, farmers and environmentalists alike.
They're just trying to convince the community that foxes are able to be kept as pets. Foxes are a predator. It's cruel to keep a fox in captivity. It's no good locking this animal up and trying to turn it into a dog or a cat. The foxes in captivity right now will be the last. There was no possibility that fox permits will be extended in New South Wales.